other business that was in here was called Play Cibus, and I know that the Planning Commission approved that use here, conditional use, and amendments to development plan to support that use. So what we have here is the view from 270, or one of the views. There is no signage that's part of this proposal, so we are assuming that if they want signage, it will fit within the parameters of what's been approved before, which has variances that were granted by council for size. So as long as their signage is within those approvals, they should not need to come back to the Planning Commission. It can be approved by staff. But they have a sign on the south face and on the east face of the building. So what is proposed instead of Play Cibus is an indoor pickleball facility. Here is the layout of the 16 courts that they're proposing, but they also have some separate conference rooms. They have an eating area. They still have the liquor permit that Play Cibus had, so it should be a comfortable spot for people who are waiting to play to go and hang out. There's a kitchen there and conference rooms. Roadrunner does still have a retail store on the east side, so they still have a presence in the building. And then at the north end is where the volleyball club is. So anyway, it's a very similar use as it's a recreational use that is in this building after Play Cibus. So I don't think we have any concerns, and I think it's exciting to have more indoor pickleball.
We have an applicant here this evening. Your name and address for the record, please.
William Taylor, 12360 Woodtown Road, Galena, Ohio, 43021.
Mike McNulty, 847 Denison Avenue, Columbus, 43215.
Is there anything you can add to Mrs. Padura's presentation?
Thank you.
You
Obviously,
had us at the bar.
did a very good job. The nice thing about the existing structure and the existing approval is that we have to move nothing. Once they move out the existing recreational 3 stories worth of ninja rope courses, we just lay our courts. We don't have to move an electrical outlet or anything in the building. We can use everything that's there. We'll repaint the inside. It's the only thing that has to be done aside from us laying our courts.
Just keep in mind, if it is approved tonight, once you decide what you want to do with signs, you need to bring that back to city staff.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
There's only one person left other than Officer Steve. Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak for or against this application? Come on up. Yeah, up here, please. And then state your name and address for the record.
My name is Chris Vondran. I live at 200 East Kanawha Avenue, Columbus, Ohio, 43214. Okay. So I am the tenant, along with my wife, in the north 25,000 square feet called Greater Columbus Volleyball Club. And I've had the opportunity to meet both gentlemen, Bill one time and then Mike a couple times as a part of their process of working with the landlord, who's out of Southern California, Ron Reynolds. I hope that they're wildly successful as a participant in this property. Okay, there are 3 tenants here. I, with my wife, having Greater Columbus Volleyball Club, the shoe retail location, which is Roadrunner, and the new operation for pickleball. In my prior life, before running my wife's volleyball club, from the business standpoint, I'm not the volleyball person, my wife is. She's there working with the 24 teams that she has that she's blessed to work with. I'm a land planner, landscape architect. And so the current parking configuration that we have was a result of my efforts back in 2019, because the arrangement at that point in time, Super Games had trucks and trailers, and it was not lined for a maximum capacity of parking. So the parking configuration now, for example, that auto turn, that was one of my diagrams, to show that if we double parked the north end and also looked at putting as much parking on this existing asphalt that we possibly could, that we could operate as an athletic facility, knowing also that Play C-Bus was going to be in there as well. Unfortunately, unfortunately Greg didn't make it, and we have a new opportunity with pickleball on the site. But the reality is, and I'm not here against the pickleball. Let me say that first and foremost. Again, I want them to be wildly successful, okay? My reason for being here this evening is it was designed from a land planning standpoint as an industrial location. And because of that, it is significantly underparked. Hence the reason why everybody has to have a conditional use permit. We included at GCVC. So if this were parked based upon the uses, athletic and retail, we would really need about 570 parking stalls. Currently, we're at 197. I've had dialogue with both gentlemen. I've had dialogue with the landlord. I've had dialogue with their client related to this. And I have told them that, we from a volleyball standpoint know that we're limited in what we can do in our facility. And when I say that, we limit what we do to training young girls. We don't host competitions in our facility. It just doesn't work, okay? Now keep in mind, related to this, I'm gonna try not to go on and on here, but we have the parking that is on the site, which is 535, but the boulevard is also parkable. Okay, and that was a prior conversation in 2019 as Play C-Bus was looking at the volumes of people that were going to be attending, their location. But being that we're still underparked as an overall property, we limit what we do in GCVC to only training kids. We're busy 7 days a week, especially during the wintertime, because that's when travel volleyball for girls is most prevalent. We also have, in the extra time available, we have a boys volleyball club that rents time from us, but we're able to accommodate all of our members and all of our renters in the 56, 57 stalls that we have designated for us. So what I'd like this commission function to keep in mind, it's not a request, well, it is a kind of a request, that in the event that larger events are scheduled for the pickleball, that the accommodations are made to handle the traffic and parking. So that for us, because during the wintertime, we operate 7 days a week, Roadrunner, they've only got 12 stalls out in front of their front door. I want to make sure that the parking accommodations are kept in mind as this moves forward and gets approved. I hope that it's approved, but I want to be on record that it is underparked because for the uses that are in there right now, because it's an industrial site. Okay? Thank you very much.
What's your response to that?
I completely agree that if there was some sort of a spectator or a tournament, there would have to be some coordination. The nature of the facility and the way we're laying the courts out doesn't lend itself to a large spectator national tournament. The courts themselves hold 4 people at a time. Generally, the facility I work with now, Lifetime, we've built 600 of these clubs. We limit attendance just because of the nature of the sport. If you had 8 people, so you'd have 4 people waiting at each court, you're looking at 124 people. The staff requirements are a concern for parking for employees. Because of the nature of pickleball, I don't need near the staff that was already approved and in the facility just by the nature of the safety that was required for Play C bus. I completely understand their concern. Being in the area and to coach forever, whenever there's a large event, whether it's field hockey, lacrosse, or at any of the schools that I've coached at, there's always a parking issue. We've got to be good neighbors. I don't think we're going to run into an issue with what the transient nature of the people coming in and out. I don't think we'll ever fill the parking lot. We do expect to have limited tournaments, but it's not a spectator sport as much as it is an activity sport. So we would be cognizant of making sure that we coordinated in advance with the other tenants if we were going to have, if we felt it was going to be full.
What it's worth, I curl in the winter, and we have the same issue. You know, we have 3 sheets of ice, limited number of people out on the ice.
And Grant?
We have a really nice bar. So
Is this
a lot of people hanging
is this a
around.
land grant?
Yeah, Land Grant is one of our sponsors.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have our own facility. And we share a building with Oakland Nursery, where they put together displays and things like that. And now we call them the dingers. It's the baseball and the softball cages, and they wrap around 2 sides of us. So the only time we have an issue with parking is if we have what they call a bonspiel, where it's the same thing. If you have a tournament, you've got a lot of flex people coming in.
Correct.
Fortunately, everybody gets along pretty well, and we just give everybody enough notice, say, hey, we've got a tournament this weekend, we got a bunch of people coming in, and you're playing magical chairs or musical chairs with cars moving around, but we haven't had any significant issues. Based on my limited knowledge of the building and the parking around there, you're gonna have the same thing, and it sounds like at least everybody's working in good effort to make it work.
Yeah, looking at the plan, the regional, they've done a good job of making it basically a one-way around the
Yeah,
building
that helps a lot.
section. It does help a lot for everybody coming in. The cable people were very easy to find us once they realized they could just come around the building.
So, all right. Any other questions or comments? Not hearing any. Could I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I move the request by Mohammed Warsaim for a conditional use permit to allow a recreational facility for pickleball on the I-1 zoning district at 535 Lakeview Plaza Boulevard as per case number CU 07-2023, drawings number CU 07-2023. Recommended to City Council for approval based on the planning goals of the city as referenced in the land use plans and the findings and fact and conclusions in the staff memo and presented at this meeting.
Thank you. Could I have a second, please?
Second?
I'm sorry, that motion was incorrect in saying that this needs to go to city council. So if we could strike that part from the motion.
So striked.
All right, it was moved by Mr. Rice and amended by Mr. Rice and seconded by Mrs. Holcomb, who agreed. So could you please call the roll?
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Faust?
Yes.
Mrs. Holcomb?
Yes.
Mr. Rice?
Yes.